Hi, in this video I'm going to show you the basics of the crop tool, but before I get started I want to get some housekeeping out of the way. I'm working on a Mac, and on Mac I'm going to use modifier keys that will be different from a PC. So in the Mac it's going to be Shift, Option, and Command, and if you're on a PC, I just want you to, Shift is going to be Shift, but Option will be Alt, and Command will be Control. So just make that change for me so that I don't have to tell you every time I use a modifier key what it is on the PC. Okay, so I have the image lake and cabins open, and this is the edge of that image and also called the canvas. This is the canvas in Photoshop. So if I want to crop that canvas or crop this image down, I'm going to use the crop tool. Over here in our toolbar, it's like number 5 down from the top, and when I click on it to activate it, a couple things happen. One, I see the crop border or crop boundary, and it has handles in the corners and the middles. Another thing that changes at the top of the this bar up here, which is called the options bar, it changes to reflect the attributes of that tool, so I can easily change some of the things that that tool or any other tool I choose can do. So let's just drag this corner right down in here, and I can see that I have now these lines, which is divided up that space into 9 spaces. So those are called the rule of threes or the rule of thirds, and they're just to help you make decisions about the composition, and we'll talk more about that later. So for right now, I can grab these and move these in from the side, grab any corner and move it in, and also notice that near my cursor now, there's a heads-up display that tells me in whatever my current measurement unit is, in this case it's inches, how big that image is going to be when I crop it or decide to crop it. So right now I'm just going to say let's crop this, and I'll click up here in the options bar on the check mark, which will say I want to accept that change. So let's take a look. If I click on this one more time, I have the crop tool selected still, and I say maybe I want some of that image back, and I do this, I have white space out here. What happened is I really cropped those pixels away, what we call destructive editing. I don't want to do that. Usually we want to keep all those pixels. So I'm going to revert. I'm going to click back up here on the Move tool, and I'm going to go under File and Revert, and then we'll try this one more time a different way. So clicking again on the Crop tool, I'm going to start dragging in here. Now notice when I start dragging that those rules of thirds, these lines stay in my vision, and I don't really want to see them there. They're kind of distracting. So here's a way to turn them off, or at least to turn them on or off while it's sitting here. So I'm going to come up to this little grid looking thing. I have all these other grids which I've never used, but they're there for you if you'd like to experiment with those. And I'm going to turn on Auto Show Overlay. And what that does is it leaves it clear when I'm not dragging. When I drag, I can see them again, which is kind of nice. Okay? So the other thing, if I don't want to permanently delete all these pixels outside of my image, I'm going to come up to the options bar again and turn off this check mark that says delete cropped pixels. And that should solve that problem. So again, I'm going to select the OK. And then I'm just going to take the Move tool. I have this layer selected, and I'm going to drag this around to show you that, yes, indeed, those are all still there. If I go too far and I see checkers, that means I've come to the edge of the image itself. So there's really nothing out there. All right, let's revert one more time. One more time, revert. And then we're going to grab the crop tool one more time. Now I'm going to show you about rotation. If I go just outside, and if you don't see these, it might be because you're zoomed in too far. You just want to hit Command and 0, and that will fit the image back onto the screen. I'm even going to Command minus a little bit here just to zoom it out a little bit more. If I go to this corner and go out a little bit farther, my cursor changes into a curved double-ended arrow. That is the technical name of that cursor. And if I click and drag it, it starts to rotate the image. And notice that as it rotates, it adjusts the scale so I don't get anything off the edge of the image. So I'm going to put it about right there, and I'm going to say OK to that. I can still come in here and move these things around, or move the image around itself. So I have all those options, even though I might get some blank space, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But if I get that right there and I say OK to that, you can see how it rotated the image and cropped my canvas to that size. Now, I'm going to leave it like this just to show you one more thing that the crop tool can do for you. If I click on here again and I have the crop tool selected, if I want the horizon to be on horizontal and not like the lake is going to pour off the edge of the image, I have this thing called straighten. If I click on this little straighten tool and just drag, click and drag, I'm holding down my mouse key, across what I think should be a level horizon, it'll automatically rotate that so that it's horizontal, which is a nice feature to have, especially when you have an ocean or a lake or something where the horizon doesn't want to be at any kind of skew or an angle. Okay, let's see. Last thing, rotate level, content aware. Let's try that. So I'm going to rotate this one more time, and I'm going to drag this kind of stuff out here and this out here a little bit. If you do need the image to be this big and these areas to be filled in, if I just say OK right now, those end up being white or transparent. So I'm going to undo Command Z, and I'm going to try this one more time. I'm going to drag this out here, and I'm going to drag this out here. So there's no image out here. So what I need to do is tell it to use content aware. Content aware kind of looks at the area around it and tries to build this stuff for you. Sometimes it works well, sometimes not so well. In most cases, it's a good starting point, and then you would have to go in and make some corrections to it. So let's see what this does. There we go. Let's take a look at what it did. So down here, and I'm using Command and Spacebar to zoom in here. Not too bad down there, right? And I'm going to come over here and look at this. Not bad. So it does pretty well with a lot of things. Sometimes, and if you try to get too big of an area for it to fill in, then you're going to see a lot of repeating on that image right there. So that's not always good. So let's see. I think that's it. That's the crop tool. Keep watching. Get smarter.